Aaron Rodgers has spoken. I'm Brian Batko. He's Ray Fittipaldo with you from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Two of your Steelers beat writers coming to you with our first minicamp update of 2025. First of three longer work days, more like an in-season day for them, Ray. And of course, the big story. This is the most media I think I've ever seen in a Steelers practice. And it's not even the regular season, let alone the playoffs. Everybody was here to lay eyes on Aaron Rodgers as a Steeler for the first time.
Yeah, NFL Network was here, ESPN was here. Wait till training camp. I think training camp is going to be even a bigger Zoom than today was. We got one of the biggest sporting events taking place at Oakmont, 20 miles from here? And I bet you there were more reporters here today for Aaron Rodgers than there was for the practice round out at Oakmont.
Yeah, the U.S. Open going on here as well, but everybody wanted to see Aaron Rodgers' first shot as a Steeler, and picked up the club, but he never really left the range, did he, Ray?
No, he did some individual work, but everything from 7-on-7 to 11-on-11 teamwork, he did not do. He said that's the way Mike Tomlin wants it. Mike Tomlin wants him to learn the offense before he actually takes part in the team periods. And what Mike Tomlin said afterwards was he expects Aaron to iron all that stuff out in the next 6 weeks, and once training camp gets here, July 24th, Aaron Rodgers will be behind center.
Yeah, I think people still might raise an eyebrow at that. And I mean, it's June. You're grasping for any, grain that you can of Steelers news and nuggets and info. And how did he look throwing to DK Metcalf? Did he connect over the middle to Pat Freiermuth and Arthur Smith's offense? What do you make of this kind of feeling out process for a guy who wasn't here for OTAs? Doesn't, and Mike Tomlin kept coming back to look at his resume. He's been in the league a long time. He's 41. But I think the more skeptical response would be, but he doesn't know anybody on this team. He's never worked with Arthur Smith before. And Aaron himself said it helps to have that get-to-know process. And he said getting up to speed in the offense and getting assimilated with new teammates are two different things. So wouldn't it help to have more reps under your belt?
Yeah, there was a funny exchange. Aaron said he doesn't know his way around the building. He doesn't know anyone's name yet. And when he leaves the locker room, he has to grab somebody and ask them, where am I going? What do I do? So, from that perspective, I guess it does make sense that, you want him to have a complete grasp or a pretty firm grasp on the offense before he does that. But, I guess for the next 2 days, it'll be the Mason Rudolph, Will Howard, and Skylar Thompson show. I wasn't expecting that, but I guess I do understand it to an extent.
Yeah, to an extent, and it's almost like Ben at the end of his career. He would cede a lot of reps to the younger players, and Mike Tomlin would always spin that as, Ben doesn't need these reps, I need these reps to get to know these younger players. However, he has had 6 OTAs practices with these guys, and if you're Aaron Rodgers, you're so predicated on that chemistry, that second nature, hand signals, give a guy a look, and he's running to a spot on the field. I don't know. I just thought the whole point of having OTAs and minicamps in these spring workouts was to start ironing out all of that.
I guess it's more, in this case, for building those relationships, getting to know these guys over this 3-day period. Aaron did say he's going to have all the guys out to Malibu, California, if he can convince them to go to Malibu. I'm guessing that's going to be a go. But he'll have them out there probably for a week or two, I would guess. They'll get their work in. And I think those guys, obviously, it's going to be up to Pat Freiermuth. It's going to be up to Calvin Austin to get him up to speed on some of the nuances of Arthur Smith's offense. And really, Brian, it's kind of new for them too, because it's just they're 1 year into it, and I'm sure they're still learning it as well.
I was going to say, a weekend in Malibu sounds nice. A lot of these guys, though, are on their rookie deals or playing on vet minimum contracts, so might have to save up a little bit if they want to live the really good life out there on the West Coast. What else did you make of Aaron's first press conference here with us? He basically said the timing of it. He kind of reiterated what he had said in his last public comments. He was dealing with things in his personal life. Confirmed he got married a couple months ago, and that it wasn't the right time to commit, I guess, to a working environment for himself to be all in.
He said he wanted to be all in. He didn't want to shortchange the guys, was his quote, unless he knew he was going to be 100% all in. So if people were wondering, they just not want to be here for OTAs. I guess a lot of this stuff kind of got situated within the last week or two that he was pretty, certain he was going to play this season. He said he called Mike on Sunday, obviously being the previous Sunday, and they hashed out the contract, and they got to work. otherwise, Brian, he hit all the high notes, right? Pittsburgh's a blue-collar town. He named all of his Yinzer friends, from Mike McCarthy to Ben McAdoo to Kevin Green. And he referenced, although he didn't name the song, he referenced Renegade. So he pretty much did every Pittsburgh cliche that you could do in a 15-minute news conference.
I thought he might have been talking about the Pittsburgh polka there. But yeah, he said the song they play in the third into the fourth quarter. But yeah, I mean, it does kind of make you think that, I don't know if you want to call it a handshake deal or whatever, but they had a lot of this already figured out. And Rodgers said that, he didn't want to sign and then be out of sight, out of mind if he wasn't able to attend, which is good because we didn't talk about him at all the last few weeks, considering he wasn't actually employed by the team. So that plan worked out just as he expected. But yeah, I mean, we also talked to a lot of players about Aaron Rodgers today leading up to this. I got a chance to catch up with Mason Rudolph along with a few other people in the locker room, and he basically said, hey, he's learned in this business you can't ride the wave, never get too high on the highs, never get too low on the lows. He expected they were going to add somebody, just didn't necessarily know who that was going to be. Now it is officially Aaron Rodgers, and Mason Rudolph goes back to QB2, but like we said, still QB1 sort of in the short term here.
Yeah, hey, listen, I talked to Nick Herbig before practice, and they went through the OTAs with Mason and the other guys, and he said, listen, I'd be lying if I didn't say it was different. I mean, he was 4 years old when Aaron Rodgers came into the league. If you're a football fan, I'm sure most of those guys in the locker room are. They grew up watching the NFL. Aaron Rodgers was one of the faces of the NFL for the past 20 years. So a lot of those guys are excited to obviously be his teammate, but I think they're even more excited because they think he can maybe jumpstart this offense a little bit and get them going in the right direction.
Yeah, he got some questions from the national folks about what it would mean for his legacy, and he just kept coming back to sort of a Zen-like answer. It's fulfilling. It's a decision that when you make a decision from the soul, I think is how he puts it. It's a lot more fulfilling from ego. Now, I don't know if Steelers fans want to hear that as desperate as they are for a 7th Super Bowl or even just a playoff win. And Cam Hayward is like, would stop at nothing to know that feeling and to hoist that Lombardi trophy. And Aaron Rodgers says in his 21st season, all he wants to prove to himself is he wants to have fun again.
He wants to have fun. But he did say, I mean, obviously, he's all in. He knows what a 7th Super Bowl would mean for this city and this organization. And also, I think for his legacy, if you think of all the great quarterbacks over the years, I think almost everyone would consider him a top 5 quarterback of all time. A lot of the top 5 or top 10 guys have multiple Super Bowls. And if Aaron can get one more, I know we're stretching it here a little bit given the state of the Steelers overall, but if he can get that 2nd Super Bowl, I'm sure that would add to his legacy.
Hey, hope springs eternal, and this was the first step on what could be that journey. For Chris Carter, for Ray Fittipaldo, I'm Brian Batko. Thanks for checking us out on the Post-Gazette Sports Network. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.